All right. Well, hello and welcome to the Idiot Book Nook podcast. My name is Blazewing and my pronouns are she, her, and they, them.
I am the reading dragon, and my pronouns are she, her.
I'm Lady Punnet. My pronouns are primarily she, her, sometimes they, them. Today is a she, they kind of day.
And I'm Critter Shy. My pronouns vary as well, and today's a she, her day.
Excellent. Last chapter for the book that we're currently reading, we ran into a bit of a snag, so we are going to be correcting that. Today we are reading from Prospero School of Magic, The Return of Merlin, written by A.P. Whitfield. We had some spicy scenes come up that we were unaware of, and we will be unceremoniously skipping by those. We have now somebody who is potentially reading ahead.
Just to see if there's spicy bits. I'm skimming for spicy words. If I see spicy words, they're spicy bits.
So this is, as usual, going to be entertaining. We are four ADHD-addled brains trying to stay on track and make sense of whatever the fuck we're reading. So, just...
Did you say eating?
I
Are
said,
we eating the book?
I mean,
In a
no.
way, yes.
Ow.
We're not eating the book, but...
In a way, we are. We are consuming the words and consuming the content.
With that being said, if you'd like to follow us on social media, you can do so at linktr.ee/idiotbooknook.
Critter's just so done with us.
Eat and yeet the book? Absolutely, Dylan. For those of you that haven't been here before, the way we do it is we go through chapter. We read the chapter and act as much as we can, voice act as much as we can. And then when we get to the discussion portion, we bring in the audience and their feedback. Koneko Silver, thank you for the follow.
Thank you, Koneko.
With that being said, narrator, are you ready?
Yes. Prospero School of Magic, The Return of Merlin, Book 1. Trigger warning. This book contains situations and scenes that may cause people to become triggered. These include, but are not limited to, sexual assault, rape, drugs, drinking, blood, gore, murder, and abuse. Please be advised.
So we do have a trigger warning for this book.
Mm-hmm.
You can catch all that on Twitch.
Yep. Chapter 2. We're starting with Daniel.
Was that me?
No,
I can't
that's
remember who that
love
is.
interest number 1. The one we think is Merlin, the one with the slight Italian accent.
Yes. What do you mean I cannot come back to the school right now? Sebastian was just attacked, and others hurt by the quake.
Daniel argued with his father on the phone as the big man tried to keep his yelling at a minimal while he was in the hospital wing of the school.
I do not give a damn. I am coming back.
We now have Professor Smith.
So help me, Daniel. If you so much as step a foot on this campus without my consent, I will beat the shit out of you.
Professor Smith growls into the phone.
That's a teacher!
And his
That's his dad.
That's a teacher!
And his dad.
I don't care that it's his dad.
Jenna narrowed her eyes as she listened to the bantering. She looked over at Clara, who looked scared. Between Sebastian knocking on death's door and hearing Daniel being threatened, Jenna could only imagine just how Clara was feeling. Is it Clara or Clara?
Clara. Clara, I think, is with the British accent. Clara is what we've bastardized it into here in the
No, it's
Western world.
Clara.
Yeah.
Clara,
It's all
technically,
British.
but, I mean,
Alright.
at that point, it's like,
Meh.
meh.
Yeah.
Romeo was starting to regret the smart comment he made to Daniel earlier as he watched the anger and rage cloud up in the large man's face and eyes. Romeo came from a family that knew anything and everything about each family from the school, and even those not from the school. How they knew all they did was a secret, but he knew, his family knew, and they used it to their advantage to gain money and wealth.
Please, stop yelling at him.
That's Clara, so that's not
Oops.
you.
Oh, shit.
Excuse me.
This is great.
I thought I was Clara. I thought I was not Hermione.
You're not Clara. It's Critter who's being the main character for once.
Right.
You're Jenna.
I forgot that Clara is the main character.
Clara's the main character. Jenna's the best friend.
Right.
Please stop yelling at him.
Clara calls out, pulling Romeo out of his daze as he looks up to see the rage-filled man stop in his tracks to look at Clara like he would kill her. This is a new man who makes an appearance. Who wants to be the new man?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
What seems to be the problem other than my son is in surgery fighting for his life?
A man with sandy blonde hair and brown eyes wearing glasses stepped through the swinging doors. He was dressed in a tweed brown suit that had elbow pads on the sleeve. He was a clean-cut man that always looked well-dressed and kept a seriousness of him, much like Sebastian always did.
Daddy!
Lilith calls out and runs over to him with tears streaming down her face.
Hello, little bit. It will be okay. Your mom is coming right behind me. She should be here shortly.
Mr. Cameron picked Lilith up in his arms. He caught the professor glaring at him, then back at Clara.
Daniel, it has been a while. How is Junior? I would think he would be here helping. I hope he was not hurt as well.
Then Professor Smith.
No. Is it? No. He's fine. I sent him to Norway to study the dragons for extra credit to keep him ahead of his class for next school year. So he'll be guaranteed superb for his house.
Professor Smith replies as he hangs up on Daniel.
I see. Well, he is a bright lad. I know he will get it.
Mr. Cameron walked over to Clara and the others.
1 second. Hello, princess.
He kissed her forehead as he pulled her into his arms to hold her.
How are you holding up, son?
He asked Chester, who looked a mess of worry.
Scared.
Chester admitted to his adoptive father.
I'm a scared mess, Dad.
I am also, but all we can do is pray and have faith.
He replied to him.
I think we've got the mum.
This is the mum.
I'll take Mum. So, okay, real quick though, because
they're all British.
British, yeah.
Really? Because I thought they were American. This is supposed to be an
nope,
American
this is
school.
I thought this was in a British school because they're in.
Make a note to ask. Make a note to ask AP.
Hold on.
I'm pretty sure it says that this school is in the States.
Wait.
As we research.
In the mountains of the New England area.
New England.
New England is in the east coast of the United States.
Okay.
So.
The only thing I know about New England is they have decent clam chowder.
Okay.
I mean, you're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Hey.
That being said,
Focus.
I just wanted to make sure that with like the accents of the family, because this is Clara's dad, and I'm fairly certain that like Clara's family isn't Russian.
But they could be.
He has Russian accents now. Deal with it.
Okay. So I guess
You can give the mom whatever kind of accent you want, but the dad is now Russian. There's no stopping it.
I never said my accents make sense. I just said I know how to do them.
Fair enough. Where is Sebastian? Is he out yet?
A beautiful blonde woman rushed in and over to the small group.
Dimitri, is he okay?
She wraps her arms around Mr. Cameron, looking up at him with her worry-filled blue eyes that match Clara's.
Ha!
She was a short lady, standing at about 4'5", whereas Dimitri was much taller at 6'1". He pulled her into his arms and kissed her forehead. Are you saying that because it's spelled with the I, which is common in Russia?
No, I'm saying you said 4'5", she's 5'4".
Well, no, because Blaze went ha. So I assumed it was because Dimitri is spelled with an I, and that's usually saved for the Russian spelling.
Yes. See? Accent was correct, even though I did not know and read ahead of time. We don't know anything yet, Anastasia.
Dmitri spoke softly to her as he worked to keep her calm. Daniel!
Clara?
An all too familiar voice spoke softly from the door. Clara's eyes widened as she saw who it was and quickly darted to the face of the angry professor, whose face contorted to something scary as he looked at his son, who blatantly disobeyed him.
Daniel.
She breathed out and rushed over to him, but was cut off by her father, who stood in her way.
I told you to stay put, boy.
His deep, rash voice spoke out, making her cower back in fear. She looked back to at her father for help. Dmitri furrowed his brows and gave Lilith to Chester, who held Lilith close to him as fear coated his face. He recognized that type of voice and behavior all too well. That was what he grew up in until Dmitri saved him and adopted him.
Is there a problem here? Problem here, Professor?
The lawyer asked in a serious voice.
None of your damn concern. Wait, hang on.
This is the professor.
Yeah, just hang on a sec. Because if you look at the line, I'm confused. Because if you look at the line, he names Cameron, not Dmitri.
No,
No, Cameron's their last name.
Oh,
Cameron's
okay.
the last name.
Gotcha. Okay. Confusion cleared up. Thank you.
They're addressing each other by their surnames.
Yeah.
Kind of like how they do. It seems like all magical societies do that unless they're close.
nah, it's pretty. I think it's like a very Brit thing in general.
Gotcha.
It's just like Eastern Hemisphere sort of thing. We're the Western Hemisphere where we're just not into that, apparently.
None of your damn concern, Cameron. Just a nice chat I'm going to take and have with my boy.
The professor replies as he grabs Daniel by the arm and jerked him out of the swinging door.
Daddy, go stop him. He's gonna hurt him.
That's Clara. That is
Oops,
not you.
sorry, my bad.
No, I
We gotta-
because with I got confused because of the daddy.
Well, yeah, but apparently 18-year-olds can still call their dad daddy.
Yeah, just at
Is
that
there
point
a
the
time
line
rule?
starts to blur a little bit and things become a little more...
It starts to blur when you start to reach 18. It's like different than... Like, I used to call my mom Mummy until, like, a couple years ago.
Yes.
And now it's like...
But mummy does not have the same connotation as the word daddy does. We have completely bastardized that word. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I mean, he does call her princess. She seems like she's, like daddy's little girl. And she's in distress right now. So that's how,
True.
usually when
She
you're
is-
upset, that's when you would, resort to more and more
Yep.
childlike with your parents.
Clara.
That's fair.
I stopped calling my dad anything when I was 17.
Yeah, we'll get into that at a later point.
Clara. Guys, I want to get through this chapter under an hour. It's not helping.
I'm just struggling with the line. Give me a moment. Daddy, go stop him. He's going to hurt him.
Clara begs. Dmitri looked down at her, eyes filling up with tears.
I will be back. Stay with your mom and the others.
He walked out the doors and looked up and down the hall till he found the way they went and stumbled across them. Walking up, he caught the professor slap his boy hard, the hit echoing off the walls as he shoves him up against the wall behind him.
I told you to do something. You're going to learn your place, boy, even if I have to beat it into you.
He says through gritted teeth.
Step away from the boy. That is not a way to treat your son.
Dmitri walked up slowly and spoke to the man in a calm voice.
I understand that today has been stressful, and you fear for his safety, given all that has happened. But you do not have to take it out on your boy.
Daniel Sr. looked over Dmitri with angry eyes.
Why don't you mind your own damn business? How I discipline my child is none of your concern. It is my business if you are abusing him. Do you want to lose your job? Because you will if you keep this up.
Dimitri stood in front of him.
Now, let him go.
Daniel stood silently as his face stung from the big red handprint that covered half his visage, that part of his shaggy brown hair covered up. He showed no emotion as he looked down at his dress shoes.
It is okay, Mr. Cameron. Father did not mean to lose his temper. I did not listen, and I came back to the school where it is not safe. And he wanted me to stay where I would be safer. But I came back anyways because I am worried for Clara. We are dating, you know, so I was afraid for her.
No, I was not aware this.
Dimitri looked the boy over. He knew Daniel was lying, but he could not make him talk or tell him what all was really going on.
See, Dimitri? No need to worry.
Daniel Sr. says as he put his arm around the boy, who would not look up as the mark on his face throbbed in pain.
How wonderful it is that our kids are dating. She is a lovely young girl, very bright. Now, if you'll excuse us, we need to have a chat in my office.
He pulls Daniel away, moving him down the hall, leaving the lawyer standing there with a look of worry and anger on his face.
Sorry, go ahead.
He turns around, shaking his head as he goes back into the hospital wing. The small group looked at him with worry.
Where's Daniel?
Clara demanded.
I cannot make him admit what is going on behind closed doors. He defended his father's abuse when I caught him striking him. He is with his father. I am sorry, Clara. I cannot do anything until he is ready to do what Chester did.
Dimitri looked at her with sad eyes.
Daddy, please, there must be something that you can do.
Clara looks at him with desperation in her eyes.
I will see what I can do for him, but that is only going to be if he confesses.
Dimitri held her in his arms as his thoughts worried for
the young lad and his own son.
Yeah, okay, so that sentence does make sense. As his thoughts worried for the young lad and for his own son.
It's the grammar that's tripping you up, because we have a natural way that we speak and read and follow the language. I'll be making notes when I go through the copy.
Mm-hmm. The portal opens back up as the doctor comes back through with Sebastian still put on the hospital bed. This is the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson doctor?
Right, I remember now.
I believe that was me, was it not?
I believe so. Yeah.
That means Dragon's going to be taking a few roles for new voices, because I've got like a fuck ton of
you got a few.
Yeah.
Next new one is going to go to Dragon.
Okay.
He is one hell of a fighter. He will make a full recovery with the help of magic. If it were not for the potions to help us along the way, he would not have made it. He will need plenty of rest, more than likely. He will not get to play in the upcoming polo match. I know how much our star player is going to hate that.
Dr. Mahoy. Maho?
He's
Maho.
He's Maho.
Mahoy?
He's Maho.
Mahoy.
No,
I think it's pronounced Mahoy.
He's Maho. He's Maho.
Maho. Mahoy.
Mahoy.
Dr. Mahoy sighs heavily.
Yep. Thank you, Kai, for saving our boy. It is good to see you again. I hope Mililani and your sons are well, and your wife Alana.
Dimitri shook the male's hand with a grateful smile on his face.
They are well. They are all well. Mililani actually goes to school here. She's in Tanghouse, like your mother and I were.
He smiles back as they spoke.
That is wonderful. I do believe I remember Clara talking about that.
Dimitri looked back at the small group that was around Sebastian's bedside now.
It is. You should all come and It is. You should all come and visit us sometime in Maui. It'd be great to see you all, but unfortunately I need to get back to work. It was good seeing you again, Dimitri.
Kai shook his hand before leaving.
We will do that. Thank you.
He watched the doctor leave before going over and joining his family. Chester. Remember, he has an Aussie accent.
Scottish.
No, wait, was it Aussie or Scottish? It's Scottish because you kept it was the mate thing that was really putting you over.
It's Aussish.
Aussish. Okay, sorry. Continue.
I still do not know who would. Oh no. Now the concern of messing up a Scottish accent, the accent has gotten me started to mess up, and Jay has redeemed feed and posture checks.
The thing you got to remember with the Scottish accent is you really got to roll those R's a bit.
I know. I'm just trying to. I know. I'm just trying to get into it.
There you go.
And I still don't know who could have done this to him. Who would want to hurt Sebastian?
Chester questioned as he looked at his friend. Anastasia. Blue. Yeah, that's you. That's you.
I do not know. I am just thankful he is alive.
Anastasia whispers as she was sat holding his hand.
When will Big Brother wake up?
Lilith looks at him with sad eyes from where she sat on her mother's lap.
I am not sure, a little bit. I hope it is soon.
She kissed the top of her head and held her close to her.
Why don't you kids go back to your rooms and get some rest? If he wakes up, we will give you a call.
Dimitri took a seat next to his wife and gave Lilith a kiss on the top of her head. They all hesitated, but Dimitri gave them a look, and they all gave in. They all gave in, giving a heavy sigh.
I think it's they all gave in, comma, all giving a heavy sigh.
I think either all gave in, comma, giving a heavy sigh, or just get rid of the A to make it a full sentence.
Yeah.
Clara?
Fine, but as soon as brother wakes up, you better call us.
Clara took Lilith in her arms and gave both her parents a kiss on the cheek.
Good night.
Chester looks back at Sebastian before leading the girls out of the hospital wing. Back in the Socrates house, Clara was tucking Lilith into her bed. She was scared to sleep in her own room, so Clara let her sleep in bed with her. Clara kissed the top of her head, then started to get ready for bed by candlelight. Stopping what she was doing, she heard a soft knock at her door, and she went to the door and answered it. Her eyes widened in surprise as she flung her arms around his neck.
Daniel!
She breathes out, slowly pulls away when she felt him wince under her embrace.
Daniel?
He met her eyes, and she covered her mouth in shock at how hurt he was.
It is not as bad as it looks. I will be better by tomorrow.
He leans on her doorframe and takes her hand, pulled her gently to him.
Do not forget, I am coming back for that dance, and now for sure, the games with Sebastian being down.
He hurt you.
She cups his cheeks gently as her eyes filled with worry and pain for him. Daniel leans into her touch and closes his eyes as he embraces her into his arms, taking in her scent of sage and incense.
I will be okay. It was not as bad as it has been. I need to get going back now, as much as I hate leaving you like this.
She grabbed his arm.
Then stay. Don't go, stay with me.
Her eyes held such sadness over knowing how much he had been suffering and wanted to do everything she could to take the pain away.
Please?
Daniel did not want to tell her no, but he did not want any more trouble and to pull her into it.
I cannot. I'm sorry. Please, forgive me.
He pulls her in and kisses her deeply, tangling his fingers into her golden locks in hopes to prolong his departure. The sudden kiss made Clara's heart flutter as she leans back on the doorframe, where he had her pinned. She clung to him for dear life, as if she might never see him again if she were to let go, and honestly, she feared that, scared of losing him forever. Their tongues tango together in one deep kiss that left them both breathless. He rested his forehead on hers.
I promise. I will come back for you. I swear it, Clara.
Daniel pants slightly as he steadied his breathing. He kissed her forehead and reluctantly pulled away from her.
I swear it.
He whispered and looked back at her before turning around and going down the hallway. Clara watched him walk away before she finally closed the door and got in bed with Lil and cuddled with her for more warmth. Now here's the thing, the next part is where steamy bits happen.
Yeah, I actually skipped ahead to take a look.
Many pages.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I actually skipped ahead to look at that, and the first thing my eyes landed on were thrusted. I'm like, yep, okay, we're skipping ahead of here.
Yep.
Here's the worst part, though. It continues until the end of the chapter.
Oh, shit!
That is
All right.
for clarification, that is, let's see, half, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 pages of smut.
So basically, the next part just basically goes back to Argon and Citrine.
Yep. They
still having it out.
there's some things that
On a
happen.
table.
Do they exchange any words that are like related to the plot?
1 second. Okay, give me a second as I quickly see if there's anything related to the plot.
That's the only thing, like, cause like I don't want to completely like, even if you just like speed read through like what they're saying.
Okay, he
just
calls.
in
Okay,
case.
So he keeps calling her things like my queen.
And she keeps teasing him.
Oh, boys, they're teasing.
There's a lot of teasing. Keep talking like that.
It's gonna be easier if these two go through it, so.
So basically,
Oh, wait, maybe.
so on the same page that we were just at, at least on mine and Paulina's, Lady Punnet's end, page 30, the last paragraph starting with, "You know I do, this is why I made you my queen," it seems like they're just, like, reassessing themselves.
Okay, so
And then
this is a rather small chapter for us then, which means we can actually get our discussion portion in. So that ends chapter 2 of this book.
wait.
Or not,
Actually,
or
there
not.
is something else. There's discussion about Merlin
Yeah,
and
there's
and a new character named Donatello.
Yeah, so basically,
While they're new, yeah, great.
Okay,
Party
so
on,
basically-
Well, they're
dudes!
doing it.
So basically, the smut is only like 3 paragraphs.
I don't understand why.
Uh-huh.
I don't understand why there's, a giant ass mutant turtle, but party on, dudes.
Okay.
So basically, there's 3 paragraphs of smut stuff, and then the last paragraph on page 30. "You know I do. This is why I made you my queen." And it immediately goes into him like finishing to dress up and him holding her, and they're just talking. So it goes into conversation if we want to get into that.
Do we have a sum up for it?
If you give me like 2
I
minutes,
don't
can
want
give
to
us a
risk
sum up.
any smut on this channel on account of.
Give me 2 minutes.
Daddy's love.
Hello.
Okay.
Speaking of the word daddy.
Yeah, I know. Like I try not to like.
So Citrine asks him if he actually is sure that the place is the keyhole. Surely Merlin did not make it that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "I think it is because it was not Merlin that sealed us, it was Donatello. He was a brave knight and a strong wizard, but he was not as powerful as Merlin. Merlin was and always will be the most powerful wizard in history, but it seems in this day and time they do not believe he was real, nor King Arthur. They are what these mortals call fictional, it seems, that it is just a fairy tale.
Mhm.
Our
Yes.
kingdoms had an alliance, and unless Arthur gave Merlin the order, Merlin would not have sealed us away. As for my own knight, I still do not know why he sealed us away. So Donatello was his own knight, apparently, that sealed away both him and Citrine and possibly the others.
Yeah, so there's only we could just like read through the rest of this, just skipping the first. Oh yeah, is there?
I found something.
Okay.
So Citrine knows Sebastian's alive somehow, and she said, "I am sure the male was killed today, the one I stabbed. I think he was a descendant of Donatello." That is, and then then she's like, "That is right. He did look an awful lot like him. Surely not Argon. Donatello was from England. That boy had no accent." And then Argon says his family must have moved off to this land after he finished serving under me or whomever. I know he sealed away a lot of other immortals under me that he found as a threat. He would help Merlin, not that the old wizard needed help.
Okay.
And then they say it's time to eat. They say it's time to eat, and they do not mean food. And he calls her a tease. And there's a lot of teasing.
Yep.
And then it ends.
Yeah.
And then snot happens. And then that's the end of the chapter.
Okay. So now with that sum up, we're going to end chapter 2 here, and I think we have enough time for the actual discussion portion. Link, you say this is interesting? Yes. So this is actually an independently written book by somebody that we know. We have decided to read, review, and voice act and all of that. It is, well, as these two are holding up their books here, and as says over here, Prospero School of Magic, The Return of Merlin.
Book 1.
Book 1. There are, what, 3 books?
Yeah,
3
I
books,
believe
I believe.
So, yes.
Okay.
Things are not always as they seem, even in the realm of magic.
Things aren't always as they seem with this book.
I have to bathroom. Sorry, tiny bladder must go.
Yep, you do what you gotta do. So, what do we have for this chapter?
Daniel's dad is a douchebag who deserves to be sodomized.
Not gonna lie, you gonna threaten to beat the shit out of a kid and then beat the shit out of a kid? I'm gonna take issue with that.
In front of people.
Yeah. And then
Like,
have
he
the kid...
has no fear.
Not just that, but have the kid trained to where the kid will actively defend you.
That just hits...
That's an abusive relationship. Any other context, that is an abusive relationship, and, like...
Yeah, and that basically hits home for me and my dad.
Do you think? Because here's the thing, he talked about his mom in a relatively positive light in the previous chapter. So either the mom is having beaten wife syndrome, because a man with that much authority, I don't think he would just stop at the son. So either she has like beaten wife syndrome, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Or she is away enough that she isn't aware of it, because it sounds like she's not in the school.
Or she's just not in the picture at all and she passed away sometime
No,
before.
she's in the picture. She is in the picture,
okay.
because Daniel had said that. My father said no, but my mother said yes.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think they're divorced, because then there'd be more like a power struggle. I think either she has beaten wife syndrome, which would be surprising then that she would defy Daniel Sr., or she is unaware of the abuse or unaware of how bad it gets.
Yeah.
Like, oblivious wife.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say oblivious. I don't want to say oblivious wife because we haven't seen her. So I'm going to say that maybe she's like one of those moms that is, because we don't know what she does. She could be like one of those moms that's not home a lot, maybe only home like a couple of days a month because of travel and stuff. So I want to say, just so there's at least one person in his corner, maybe the mom's not aware and Daniel doesn't want because here's the thing, it's been proven that with abuse victims, the boys typically will try and shield the mothers so they take most of the brunt force.
Yes.
So maybe in Daniel's mind, he's protecting his mom, because Daniel is also shown to have that kind of mindset of protecting people.
I would also like to point out, in that kind of situation, specifically when there's a child and a mother and a father or two parents involved, if there's a mother involved, the mother sometimes develops selective memory issues on account of not wanting to see it or not being capable of seeing it or understanding what's going on, but falling into kind of a pattern of doublethink, like, yes, this is happening, but I can't talk about it ever.
So, next thing that we found out that me and Blue had to skim through really quickly. Sebastian is a descendant of a knight named Donatello.
Yep.
So, who was from England. He was a knight and a wizard who wasn't as powerful as Merlin, but as they said, no one was as powerful as Merlin, who was a knight for this guy named Argon.
Yep.
But that would also mean that Clara is a descendant of Donatello.
Yep.
So, either... I'm still going with the theory of reincarnated lovers, soulmate things, because let's face it, that's the vibes I'm getting.
That's the
vibes, that's the trope I'm getting.
Yep.
Argon, the most noble of the houses. I mean, gases.
The other thing, though, is Argon called him his knight. So that means Argon was in some form of high enough nobility that he would have people who served under him. And he keeps calling Citrine his queen. I'm wondering if it goes beyond just him calling him her pet names to, oh no, this is actually my queen. We ruled lands together.
It's quite possible.
Absolutely. I don't know where this book's going. Like I said, it's like I said during the last discussion we had. The grammar and the spelling and the punctuation are it's a thing, right? But at the same time, I'm interested in the story underneath. That doesn't usually happen. Usually spelling and grammar and whatnot turn me off completely. Right. It's a way to just completely disinterest me in a book. I'm actually interested in the story underneath, which for me is a first. Cool. I want to know where this goes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way.
So. I
also like that, like how we discovered in the Bartimaeus series with the Amulet of Samarkand, how this is also kind of doing the whole alternate history thing in this book.
Yep. And we have actually confirmed that, I believe, with the author themselves, because the author was here for the last 2 sessions that we had.
At least last session.
Sir Glenn Attack has redeemed feed. Glenn, welcome on in.
Hello.
So this is an alternate history.
Yes.
To my knowledge, from what I remember of Arthurian lore, I do not remember Arthur going against someone named Argon.
Again, alternate history, right?
Alternate history.
Might diverge a little bit from our mythos.
I know. So it's making me think there is a high possibility that whoever these people are, they are, in fact, royalty of some sort. And here's the thing. Something else that Argon said that kind of caught my eye was, I know he sealed away a lot of other immortals under me that he found as a threat. So it sounds like this person is a high enough member of, immortals, because it was confirmed they're, elementals of some sort.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're, I'm thinking, they're the equivalent of, the court, one of the high courts in the Fey realm.
Ooh, interesting
Which would make them super dangerous.
Interesting thought.
Especially since they do have names pertaining to the natural elements of this world, which can help with Lady Punnet's theory that they might be of the Fairfolk corpse.
Yep.
Because here's the thing, in the Fey realm, with our mythos, you don't trust the Fey. The Fae may seem like they want to help you in some way, but they always do things for their own interest and their own gain.
Sir Glenn Attack, it is Argon, has been confirmed by the author, and has also been confirmed by the author that the name of some of these characters line up with actual stones and gems and elements. So, yeah, Argon would be the name we're going for here.
Top dog. How high is Argon on the periodic table of elements?
Let's find a look. Give me 1 second.
And give me a second as I look for the other names. Yeah, there's Citrine. There was Agate, I believe.
Argon is the name of an element, but Citrine and Agate are the names of gems.
So Argon, initials are AR. Give me 1 second. AR is number 18. It is actually over in the noble gas category. Let me take a look here.
And definitely not Arthurian original.
We're not nerds at all, are we?
No, this is very much an alternate mixed reality. Mixed world, mixed historical effects with a lot of
there's references
with some creative elements that are of the author alone.
Here we go.
Basically, the author has confirmed that they took our reality and mixed it with her own world that she wanted to build and whatnot. And I mean, I'm here for that. I love creativity like that.
You have agate and carnelian.
So, Argon is number 18, and its weight is 39.948. And its composition is 288, which I believe is electrons and neutrons and...
photons?
Electrons, neutrons, and...
Ions.
Ions, thank you. But not necessarily in that order. Sorry, it's been a while since I've gone through science. The last, actual time I studied the periodic table of elements was high school, and that was, ages ago. But, yeah. It's number 18. It's actually fairly high.
Yeah, because there's 118 elements.
According to this chart, might be old, but according to this chart, there's 103. Give me 1 sec. Let me do a quick search on that.
I just did a quick Google search of how many periodic elements there are, and there's 118. But you also said something that's interesting. It's a noble gas.
It is a noble gas.
Question.
It is among the noblest of gases.
Is it toxic or poisonous to humans?
Oh, interesting. Let's see.
I can't remember. And yes, they are incredibly pissed now that they are free, but they're also apparently incredibly
hungry.
Hungry in all the ways.
Yeah. And not just hungry, thirsty as well.
So, according to a quick search here, I literally just put in, is argon toxic or poisonous? It is not. Argon is colorless, odorless, non-flammable, and non-toxic as a solid, liquid, or gas. It is chemically inert under most conditions and forms no confirmed stable compounds at room temperature. Although argon is a noble gas, it can form some other compounds under various extreme circumstances. It is 25% denser than air and can prevent the body from taking in oxygen.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why it is bad.
So it's not poisonous, but it's very harmful.
It can be.
Highly bad for humans. Welders use this to prevent fires, is what Sir Glendatak is saying.
Due to this, it can prove dangerous in enclosed areas because it can cause you to asphyxiate and do so silently. Because sound travels through air, which is a good chunk oxygen, right?
So, what I'm hearing then is that this element, if it's something that he has control over,
it'll take your breath away.
It will take your breath away, which he keeps doing to poor Citrine, who's enjoying it. Very much.
I'm starting to sense a pattern here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I also would know why he... Okay, here's the thing. If they're going with naming conventions, I think I know why he would pick Citrine as his queen.
Why?
Because as I said last week, Citrine is known as the luck stone. It is known to bring people good luck and good fortune, whether that's through wealth or just general luck. What better way to have someone as his queen than someone that would bring him a constant source of luck?
Yeah, that kind of helps you take over the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And depending on what kind of agate it is, would also depend the meaning. However, carnelian... Now, give me a quick second as I search up carnelian, because that was a name we heard in the last chapter.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've gone through my gems and stuff. I'm trying to remember, but I'd have to look it up.
Let's see. Let me see as I look, because I don't have the crystal journal, but I gotta get it.
I have it. It's in my library. I'd have to.
Okay, here we
go.
So, carnelian. A stabilizing stone, carnelian restores vitality and motivation and stimulates creativity. It gives courage, promotes positive life choices, dispels apathy, and motivates for success. carnelian is useful for overcoming abuse of any kind. It helps in trusting yourself and your perception. 1 second.
Interesting. I mean, I'm definitely curious to see more. Like, I'm assuming that, like, Argon and Citrine are gonna be like, let's power up and free the others.
Okay, here's another
Is that
thing.
what I'm assuming they're gonna do.
So I just looked it up to see, because so far we know that citrine isn't toxic. It's not toxic to people. Carnelian also isn't toxic at all. You can actually put carnelian safely in water and consume it. I was just saying how carnelians are known to help get through abuse of any kind, as well as increase your perception. Now, agate, it depends on what kind of agate it is, because different agates have different meanings.
Yeah.
But if we look into just the general agate meanings, no, I don't mean like I don't need a definition. I mean like
General description.
crystal meaning. Now, okay, here we go. Oh, so this is interesting. So this crystal symbolizes harmony and rebalance. This means you will feel improvement in concentration and analytical abilities. The soothing power of agate allows you to feel calm and safe wherever you go. So far, all of the crystals that have been mentioned so far are about rebalancing, about helping with concentration, and warding off bad intentions. So basically, Argon, whose element is all about basically slowly killing people silently, his court is all about balancing out that and bringing him good fortune.
Yeah.
Which is
That would
what a
make
court
sense.
of Fae would do.
Yeah.
So
That's
the further we go
terrifying.
into this theory that you have, the more and more it looks like that might actually be the way it goes, and that these are from, well, effectively, for lack of a better word, the Feywild.
Yeah.
Yep, so unless Merlin decides to wake up,
They're fucked.
there's
Merlin,
gonna
wake
be
up!
trouble.
I don't like this!
God damn it!
Clara, wake up!
Hey.
Also, what was revealed is, so I just checked to see how Citrine
Yeah.
knew that Sebastian was alive. She looked through the shadows.
She what?
I will read that passage. Citrine was silent as she spoke to him. She gripped her amulet tightly as her eyes searched the shadows for her brows lower. A slight shock wanted to take over at the sight of a young man with raven hair pulled up in a loose ponytail who was walking the grounds, cleaning up the mess from the lingering things.
Interesting.
So she can see things through the shadows without there needing to be something there. Which is interesting because citrines are not used in shadow work. Which makes me think... Because here's what I'm thinking. So, who here watched Sailor Moon? Okay.
You thinking Queen
So-
Barrel's court? Yeah.
Queen Barrel's court. Queen Barrel had corrupted the original prince's court.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they were corrupted versions of themselves. I think Argon corrupted these guys.
So basically, because we had mentioned in the last chapter that there was a lot of those like anime vibes to this. So basically, Argon is the Queen Barrel of the story.
Well, it would also make sense because here's the thing. You wouldn't think citrine with shadows. Citrine is a bright yellow
Yeah.
stone that is
Here's
often associated with the sun.
here's something. Citrine has been long used for its ability to stimulate creativity in those who wear it, or keep it close by due to its high vibration level relative to other stones with similar properties such as garnet or amethyst. It does so by activating one's second, third, and sixth chakras. These correspond respectively with our intuitive sense, our higher mind/creativity centers, self-worth, but also life force power at this time on Earth. These energized pathways allow for thinking process activation as well as mental clarity enhancement, so they can use their visionary function, the sixth eye, where inner images appear. Visions.
Ah.
And I was saying earlier, what better person to have a queen than someone that brings you constant luck?
And someone who could see through shit.
Interesting.
So I think how it works is Argon's the king. He's basically Queen Beryl. Citrine is both his second in command and his queen. And then Agate and Carnelian are either the head of his military force, which I think would be Agate, because there is the thing about analytical abilities.
Yep.
And I think Carnelian is like head wizard or whatever.
Interesting.
That could make sense. Yeah. That definitely jives with what we've got going so far. And it's funny too, because Clara actually has an obsession with gemstones. She has a large collection and goes like in a tizzy over like rare ones.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And she was super excited about the one that's in the exhibit in the main hall.
Yep.
Which I think is the thing they're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they kept saying they're looking for something. They're looking for a key.
And it might be the thing to wake the main characters up for the whole past life.
Oh, no. That's the other thing. Apparently Argon was going to go wake them up.
Tell me something.
What the fuck?
Tell me something.
Yeah.
Are you the key master?
Well, okay. Besides for that reference, though, Argon said he was going to go wake them up. So it doesn't sound like he needs the key to wake them up. It sounds like he needs the key for something else, which my theory is he is trying to open a portal to the equivalent of the Feywilds.
Write that down. We're going to see if that theory holds true.
Or, alternatively, Arthurian lore, the Lady of the Lake.
Oh.
So
Great book, by the way. We have to read that series, please.
Yeah.
The Lady of the Lake was from the Feywild, was she not, though? Queen of the Fey was...
Depending on the lore, some people said that the Lady of the Lake was actually a nymph.
Oh, shit! Okay.
Who granted Merlin Excalibur. And then he later returned Excalibur to her for safekeeping until Arthur's return.
Who am I thinking of then? Maybe I'm
Morgana? Morgause?
Could be Morgana. Maybe I'm getting my lores mixed up. It's been a while since I've been through like classical lore and shit, so I don't know.
Wait 1 second, because here's the thing. There's also different legends about the Lady of the Lake. So, quick Google search.
Quick question.
Yes.
Before we read the next chapter, did we want to take a little break?
We are going to be taking a break. Yes. I don't
want Lady of the Lake.
I'll close us out and whatnot, and then we'll come back and jump into the next chapter. So we should be doing that here shortly.
All right. The Lady of the Lake, also known as Vivienne or Nimu, is an enchantress who lives in a castle beneath a lake surrounding the island of Avalon. According to legend, she is most famous for giving Arthur the magical sword Excalibur, for fostering Sir Lancelot after his father's death, and for imprisoning Merlin in a tree.
Yep. And she was also basically the keeper of, like, what was hiding Avalon, basically.
Oh, so there's a castle
like the keeper of the mist,
Avalon.
basically.
She's the keep. So it's basically. What if they're trying to get the key for her place?
Because originally
she's the protector of Avalon now.
So we'll add the Lady of the Lake and Mist of Avalon to the reading list.
So,
because here's the other thing, we're really getting deep into Arthurian lore, and the Lady of the Lake is in basically every single legend.
Well, look at how, when we were doing Bartimaeus, the Amulet of Samarkand, look how far we delved into Middle Eastern lore when we were reading that book. We went quite deep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were looking up, like, the base of some of those myths and legends, like the very basics, trying to get back to the very beginnings where they came from.
And it led us down a rabbit hole to how it could all be related to some of the myths and legends of a lot of the Christian and Catholic lores.
Well, the Christian and Catholic lores all came from Judaism and came from, not Jerusalem,
I think we
Muslim,
went all the way...
Muslim
Sorry,
beliefs.
go ahead.
The Middle East lores and legends, they are all meshed together. They're basically retellings of the same stories, which means they have some credence in actual history. There was something that happened in actual history for a lot of those. They're just retellings, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we went really deep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here's another thing. So the Lady of the Lake isn't so much a person as it is a title.
Yes.
It is something that is gifted to someone.
Yes.
So
Morgana was supposed to be the next one, and she fucked it up.
Yep.
Or it got fucked up for her, depending on the lore.
Yep.
True.
Anyways, Critter, you were going to say something.
Oh yeah, with what you were saying, like with the way we did, I think we dug all the way into like Babylonia.
Yeah, we went back to like Babylonia and ancient Sumer and one second, it's been a while.
But yeah, we would definitely went really far in commercial.
So, with that, I do think that this is a good place to cut this chapter off, to cut this discussion off, and
I just read another interesting fact, which could possibly. Oh, okay, this is a not so well known fact about the Lady of the Lake, but kind of interesting because it could mean she. So you would think the Lady of the Lake would want to help Merlin and the descendants of King Arthur.
No.
Well, apparently, in one of the stories, after the Lady of the Lake gave Arthur Excalibur, one of his knights kills her.
Yeah, so the thing about the Lady of the Lake is she owes allegiance to no one. She does her own thing. She is there for a specific purpose. She has a specific job. She might be friendly with Merlin and Arthur. That doesn't mean she's on their side. She could just as easily turn against them.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I do think that this is a good place to cut this discussion off as we prepare for our break here and eventually move into our next chapter.
Yeah.
So, for those of you that are listening to the podcast, thank you for joining us. For those of you that are on Twitch, thank you for joining us. Just bear with us for 1 second. This story's kind of digging, and I like it. I like where this story's going thus far. And we want to thank you guys for joining us. But for the Idiot Book Nook, I'm Blazewing.
I am the Reading Dragon.
I'm Lady Punnet.
I'm Crittershy.
And we will see you next episode.